There are very few, if any, tradies or contractors out there that do not actively go and quote or send proposals to either existing or potential clients. It's the small things that make a big difference with quoting and sending proposals, and it's very often those small things that can end up costing you a lot of money. With that in mind, in this series, I'm joined by my co-host, Eve John from Fully Booked Tradies, and we're conducting a series called Quoting Mistakes That Are Costing You Thousands. This is the third and final episode called More Trust Equals More Sales.
Giving tradies and contractors around the globe the tools to run a modern business. You're listening to Toolbox Talks from the Site Shed. Now here's your host, Matt Jones.
Hello again, welcome back to Toolbox Talks on the Site Shed podcast, and today you are joining us for the third and final episode of the Quoting Mistakes That Are Costing You Thousands series that I'm conducting with my co-host Eve John. Hello Eve.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, pleasure. It's been fantastic. So in the first episode, for the listeners that missed it, we were talking about what not following up is costing you. Go back and check that out. Eve left an awesome little framework there of, I suppose, a sequence that you can follow in order to get a better conversion with your quoting process. In the last episode, we were talking about why women control buying. That was also very interesting. I mean, I think subliminally we all know that, but I suppose to have a bit of facts, a bit of science around that process was very interesting for me and very applicable. Go back and check it out if you missed it. And in this episode, we're wrapping up with more trust equals more sales. Well, that couldn't be more true. What's your experience with more trust equals more sales, and why we decided to close off with this episode, Eve?
Well, I think it's like anything. People don't buy from someone that they don't like.
Yeah.
We've all, gone to buy something and walked it out and gone, no, I don't like that. That car salesman or anything like that. So building trust with your potential clients is really, really important. And it's a huge factor in people's buying decisions. Mm-hmm. But people are really unsure of how they can do it quickly.
Yeah.
And it's really easy for me to go on and tell you how trustworthy I am, and I've written this book and I've done this and I've got that and everything. But it's actually much more impressive when it comes from somebody else. And there's a couple of different ways that we're probably already doing it, and it's already happening in your listeners' businesses, and that's through referrals.
Yeah.
That is, if somebody refers somebody to you, then that's already them putting, their reputation on the line. So that's a big trusting factor.
Yep.
But the other thing that people quite often overlook is using testimonials, because testimonials really help to build trust. When your customer's actually raving about what you've done or the service that you've done, they're telling your new potential customers what's going to happen to them in the future, what their positive experience is possibly going to be. And for women, as we've sort of spoken about, we like to think of the end result, the end outcome. So using testimonials is a great way to do that in your business.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, I suppose what I would like to really communicate to the listeners out there is the fact that, when you're talking about building trust, so obviously in order to get people, just to book a job and for you to send a technician out to the home, get the person there, it involves a certain level of trust which you've earned over the phone. Now, the second part of that, in my opinion, is once the technician gets there, you've got to make sure that they're following in a similar pattern and that they're a trustworthy individual. And then, they're not going to, especially with a lot of these organizations out there, and I don't think it's a bad thing at all, the whole flat rate pricing model, but if it's done poorly, it can be severely detrimental. So I think that whole building trust is relevant to everybody within the organization, and it's something I think the leadership should really be instilling into their staff. Is that your experience as well?
Yeah, certainly. I think now the old days of a tradie saying I'll be there between 7 and 10 o'clock is not acceptable. Anymore. I think that, saying, okay, I'm going to be there at 9, and then if you're going to be late, sending a text message, that's annoying, but it builds trust.
Yeah.
Because you've let people know. Having, turning up when you're saying that you're going to turn up, getting the job done, looking the part, not finishing your cigarette as you're walking down the driveway and that sort of stuff as well. Now, something that I don't know, and I don't know if this is what you guys have in Sydney as well, but there would be something similar, is I always say to my clients, do you have a working with children's check?
Mm.
Do you have is that what it's called? Is
It's something like that. Don't quote me. I'm not sure, but we have an equivalent.
It's basically like a check, and you get a card. It's, I think, you could probably Google it for you. In Victoria, it's Working with Children's check, and it's basically what you need if you're going to be working with or around children. So I have it myself because I do volunteer work at my my kids' school, but I do a lot of other volunteer work where there's children involved. So some people probably have it as a volunteer if they do footy or anything sports related for their kids, or they're in scouts or a leader in the community. But you can actually get one that is not for volunteer work. And what it is you have to go through and fill your details in. And it's a police, it's different to a police check. It's a police indication that it goes through all the police systems to make sure that you haven't, you don't have a history of, issues with children, violence, just yucky stuff.
Yeah.
Luckily for probably most of us, it doesn't check if you've got speeding fines or park fines, because most of us will probably be in trouble there. But obviously, in all seriousness, it is about, that you are a trustworthy person, the fact that you don't have any criminal charges relating to injury of other people. So that's a trust thing. I know I ask my clients, do you have it? Because, again, going back with working with going into homes, women, although it doesn't guarantee that somebody is, going to be doing the right thing, it's a fair indication that at least they don't have a criminal history.
Yeah.
And it's something that will get you over the line as well. And it's also something, if you're going to be doing work in schools, kindergartens, childcare centres, I know in Victoria, I believe it's about, it's under $100 to have that.
To do the test?
Yeah, all you do, you just Google it, you fill the forms, and you've got to have your driver's license, they check. You've got to then go into the post office, have your beautiful photo taken or, passport photo, sign it and get it done. But it's just something that makes a difference. A lot of organizations now, if you do, a lot of my clients that do a lot of real estate work, they want the Working with Children's check because a lot of properties that are commercial ones might be a childcare centre. Yeah, okay. Or it could be a gym that has a creche.
Yeah, gotcha.
So having that there, it's just that little bit of, it's there, you've got it, you can carry, it's, the worse your photo, the better. I always try and make sure I've got a really dodgy photo on there because it's terrible.
Not with a shotgun.
Having that is fantastic, and actually telling people that you've got it.
The website for any of the New South Wales listeners is www.check, which is working with children, I'm guessing, check.ccyp.nsw.gov.au. So I'll post some links to that in the show notes anyway. That's pretty handy.
Yeah, great. I know Victoria, it's called a Working with Children's check. It's a beautiful little green card.
Yeah.
And it lasts for 3 years.
Okay.
So it's just something to have. It's just another little weapon in your arsenal. That's a trust building thing.
Absolutely, and that would be, I think, very relevant to. I mean, we were talking in the last episode about why women control buying. That would be pretty powerful, I'd imagine, to have a tradesman come out that's had that check, and you've got kids running around and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Good tip.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, and it does build trust because you've got that. You've got that there as well. But a couple of other things, the other thing of having testimonials that you can send out, I love a testimonial.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put them on websites. I'll put them in marketing materials.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put them in
anywhere.
Anything that you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
To get them. And there's a couple of different ways that you can get them, and I've got some really great templates. But testimonials, they're not salesy because they're not written in your own voice.
Yeah.
So generally, because they're other people's unbiased opinions as well, and they just help to really overcome skepticism. Because I can sit here and go, well, I've got this and I've done this, and you're like, yeah, well, says you.
Yeah.
This is other people standing up and saying, yes, you've done this. You came when you said you were going to. You did the right thing. And it's really good because it gives you an indication of why people have chosen you for reasons that you don't know.
Yeah.
It could be, that they chose you because in their testimonial it said that they came. I had a client the other day, and they're a commercial kitchen installer, and they'd gone out to do a repair, and my client didn't know it at the time, but he was the 5th person that they'd called to get it done.
Okay.
Because they hadn't fixed it. So in his testimonial, it actually says, I called 4 other people to get this fixed, and he was the only person that could come out and do it. So he had no idea.
Yeah.
And that's really, really great because that, again, it builds trust, but that positions him as somebody who really knows what he's talking about. You know, when you've had 4 other people come out and do it, and you're the only person that can do it. So testimonials are really, really great. But you know what? I actually find that most traders would rather actually pull their nasal hairs out with tweezers than ask for a testimonial.
Yes, and I know we spoke a little bit offline about different processes of getting that because we have one, but obviously yours is a little bit different. So I'm interested to hear about that.
I've got a couple of different ones of doing it. Now, the first one is something that, you know, you've got to kind of be a little bit either quick with a pen or quick with an iPhone to do.
Yep.
And it's really just asking people a list of questions. So it might be, why did you choose us? Why did you, how did you find our service? Would you recommend us to others? And I will often say, I'll get my clients to say, hey, would you be willing to give me a testimonial? Yes, great. What do I do? I'm just going to ask you some questions. I'm just going to hold this iPhone here. I'm not going to record your face, but I'm just going to record your words so that I can go home and type it up later.
Yep.
Because I think you've probably seen this too, Matt, where you go through and you look at websites and you're like, they've written those testimonials themselves.
Absolutely.
Which is actually unethical and in some cases probably illegal.
One of the things I was going to ask you was, and we encourage our customers to do this a lot, is applying, if not a photograph of the individual, at least a logo for the business they're representing alongside the testimonial, just to give it a bit of, I suppose, substance.
Yep.
Qualify it, because otherwise what's stopping, you from just writing a whole bunch of testimonials and sticking it on the website? Having a face to it kind of means, well, okay, they've sort of, it must have come from someone, or at least they must know that they've put their face next to this testimonial.
Yeah. And that's really great for business to business. That can work really well. And obviously you got backlinks and all that sort of stuff. But if you're finding that your clients don't really want to, or you don't really want to ask them to have a face, their face of their new kitchen or anything like that, I think people can always tell when a testimonial's been written by somebody when it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really looking at, what's actually, I can spot them a mile away. So, there's that phrase again, they tend to be the same.
Same language.
When somebody's giving you a testimonial, they tend to be quite specific
mm-hmm.
as well. Like that, this happened or that happened. So it's just really considering how you're asking them. And I've got a particular phrase that when I get my clients to ask for testimonials, if we send it written or we say it, we always say, if you don't want to, that's okay. I think you're great anyway.
Yeah.
Because some businesses, like my business, and I don't know if this happens to you, but some of my clients have said, I don't want my name on your website. I don't want my competitors knowing that I used you.
Right.
So it's something where it's like, okay.
So what's your process then, I suppose, you can get a testimonial, but then what do you typically apply if you're not applying a photo to it, and what's giving it that, that extra breath of life? Like what's sort of making it real?
Most of my clients, they're doing it, they're sort of in a localized area.
Mm-hmm.
As well. So we will use the area that they're in, first name and surname if they wish, but local and then where they're actually from. But a lot of times we use photos before and afters.
Of the project?
Yeah.
This was one of the things we've started to see work really well. A lot of our clients, obviously builders, landscape gardeners, all this kind of stuff. So people that do sort of project-based work, and we do like case studies.
Mm-hmm.
So like a project gallery, if you will.
Case studies are great.
Great. So you'd go in and you'd create a page on this project that they've done, and then applying a relevant testimonial from
mm-hmm.
that client to that specific project in the project gallery is really powerful.
100%. 100%. I love it. I love it. I think that's great. And you can then take that, you could take that offline and actually do, if you can either go to Officeworks or, print it yourself and actually copy and paste them or, have them set up so that you've got 2 or 3, on back to back on pictures, because all this stuff everything that's created for one aspect can be used for another. So as a website designer, I'm sure you create stuff and say, use this in your offline marketing. But I write lots of copy for websites. I write lots of copy, obviously, for offline marketing stuff. And even my clients that don't come, they've already got a website. quite often, once I've done the offline stuff for them, we'll then go and change their website. So obviously, everything's the same.
Yeah.
So everything can be repurposed and purposed across everywhere that you're looking for it. So testimonials are great for if I've got a couple of clients that are really comfortable with doing videos.
Yeah.
So what we do is if I've got a client that will do a video testimonial, I'll use it as a video.
Yeah.
So I'll put that on my Facebook page. I'll put that on my YouTube page. I'll then I'll strip the content from that and have it transcribed, and then I'll use it on my website. I'll use it on my offline stuff. I'll use it again on all of my LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
There's heaps of different ways that you can use, these testimonials and realistically any type of content to promote and to use everywhere. But testimonials are really powerful. If you don't have testimonials, case studies are great. I had a client that, insert the scenario here, and we did this, this, and this.
Yep.
So, but photos are fantastic. Videos are great. Just a testimonial. I have clients that don't want to do testimonials just to go on a website, but if people want to speak to them,
yes,
they'll say, I've got a list of, if you want to talk to some of my clients about the work that I've done, here's their contact number or email address.
Yep.
So that's another way if you've got something, depending on the type of business that you're in, if you're dealing with people that are, don't want to put their name, and you know what, not everybody's going to want to give you a testimonial.
Yeah.
And I don't think you need to have, hundreds and hundreds, but I've got testimonials for each different thing. And I think if your clients are predominantly women, you might use women in your testimonials. If they're predominantly real estate agents, then you use real estate agents in your testimonials. So you kind of look at you need to have a message to market match. So you want to have who your market is and your message needs to match that.
I think one thing that we found works really well when you're asking for testimonials, when you're speaking to your customer, it's good to try and make your request for that testimonial. I mean, if you're not actually creating the testimonial and giving it to the client and saying, hey, would you mind putting your name to this? When you are asking for the testimonial, it's good that it's a good practice to get into to be specific about what you want them to talk about, just so you can prompt
definitely.
them. Otherwise, you run the risk of getting that scenario where you're like, we used XYZ plumbing. They answered their phone. They were fantastic and they're really clean and we recommend them. It's really generic. Whereas if you can get them to and prompt them to talk more specifically about the task that you performed for them, then that testimonial is a lot more real and it gives you a bit more, authority within that area of your industry.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the 3 different types of templates that I give my clients are having the verbal questions.
Yes.
So they'll go through and answer the questions and then you go back to them, get them to sign them off. Another one that we use is a fill in the blanks template.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of, they get the template and it says before Eve worked on the project, I was worried, concerned, frustrated about the work. I was instantly able to feel, see, experience. And as a result, here is the change.
Yep.
Then they list the specifics and I would absolutely recommend Eve because, and then change it. And then you go in similar to, you writing it yourself. I get them to give me the crux of that. And then I go in and just flip it around a little bit. But it's really important that you get your customers to approve their testimonials.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
before you put them up.
Full editing rights.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. And the other one that works really well, and you can do this via email or LinkedIn, is you can send a LinkedIn request, but this one works really well for women aged probably between 25 and 45.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is something that a template that I've come across. I don't know where it's come from, so I didn't write this myself, but it's something that I've come across it, and I can't trace the author, but it's fantastic. It says, I'm just going to come straight out and say, you're my ideal customer. Working on your project is great. In fact, I'd be rapt if my diary was filled with more customers just like you. So I'm wondering if you would be able to put together a short testimonial. What do you think? As well as hopefully attracting more clients like you, it will help me to improve my service. And then it has, some questions. So what's the biggest change? What's the best part of having me work on the project? And if a friend were thinking of getting me to do some work, what would you tell them? That's really good for women. If nothing else,
Why
and you want a
women?
testimonial from a woman, you say, if your friend was thinking about getting me to do some work, what would you tell them?
Yeah.
Because we talk a lot in emotional words and phrases. And then, of course, the last thing that I write, and this is, I've mentioned this previously, but I really want to hone this in. And, of course, if you'd prefer not to, no worries. I think you're great either way.
Yeah.
because it makes it easier for you to ask for someone if you give them an option to say no thanks.
Yeah. Do you ever come across a scenario where you may award people for a testimonial?
I haven't personally done it myself, but I do know that people. I'll always send I do reward them with a little thank you card and often a little gift.
Yeah.
In the mail, but I do that a lot anyway. So I think if you're going to ethically encourage, I wouldn't say bribe, but ethically encourage testimonials, you can, but it's got to work in with your business philosophy and what you're actually doing. But if somebody's taken time out of their day to do you basically a favor to help you make more money in the future, then sending them a little thank you is a great way to do it.
Yeah, I don't really understand, I suppose, the blocks there that people have when it comes to asking for testimonials. I mean, if you've gone out there and you've done the work and you've done a good job, then I think you're well within your rights to ask for some client feedback on that and stuff that you can potentially use looking forward.
I think a lot of people, it comes from they're afraid of someone saying no.
Right.
Because no one wants to be. It's like asking someone. You're really putting yourself out there of asking someone to do a favor for you, and then they go, "Yeah, no, thanks."
But I mean, look, if you can put yourself in your client's perspective, if somebody's done a really good job for you, are you going to say no to them?
Oh no, definitely. I just think it's that they're scared that that's what's going to happen.
Right.
I think probably I often part of what I offer with my clients is if they don't have any testimonials, I will get them. And I do it as part of market research for, writing their content anyway.
Right.
And I will always, I think it's about how you ask for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
That makes a little bit of a difference. And if people think that they're being really helpful to you, because most people want to be helpful. Mm-hmm. With a lot of the things that I do, and I script a lot of things for my clients to call and get things, the first thing that we ask is, I'm wondering if you could help me. Because if somebody says that to you, you'll go, oh, yeah, okay. But most people are happy to help. Mm. But it depends on how much work you want them to actually do as to if they're going to help you. So
I'd love to see some figures on that. I've tried similar approaches in the past with me, and that hasn't worked as well. I think maybe dealing with men, and I suppose, I don't know. I'd like to see some figures on that.
Yeah, I think women are probably more likely to give you a testimonial. You're probably more likely, in my experience, I don't know what everybody else is, but I find it easier to get a testimonial business to business.
Yes.
Because they kind of understand what you're trying to do.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think maybe that's something to try is think about, okay, well, who understands that it's extremely awkward for me to ask for this testimonial? But I think, the worst thing that somebody can say is no. And you can go, great, no worries, thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
As well, rather than just expecting that people are going to do it, and trying to get it as quickly as possible after the work is done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
As well, I think, if somebody rings you up for a testimonial or sends you information about a testimonial, 6 weeks later, you're busy, stuff's happened, you're not so pumped about your brand new kitchen anymore. You need to get it done while it's kind of front of mind.
Yeah, no, I agree. It should be realistically in as part of the, the follow-up sequence.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Most certainly. It's part of your process of your sales, as should be asking referrals and those sorts of things as well. So it's something that it's really important. It's going to make the difference. As I said, they're not salesy as well. They tend to focus. Everyone focuses on different aspects of the job. It's a good opportunity for you to find out why people chose you, because sometimes it's not the reasons that you think.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And it makes a big difference. And if nothing else, because you can talk about how wonderful you are until the cows come home, but until somebody else kind of stands up and says yes. And testimonials you can use anywhere. We've got the review systems on Facebook, on Yellow Pages, on podcasts. Social proof is really important.
Yeah, no, it is. And I think what I really like as well is what you've been saying about the whole repurposing them, and like how you can really, you can get a video testimonial, but you can use it for so many different things in so many different ways. So it's pretty powerful.
Yep.
Look, I think that pretty much wraps up this episode, unless you had anything else there you wanted to add.
No, just that I think if you think it's useful for your business to find the application for working with children's or the phrase that it is in your state or country, because I think it's just really powerful. And that way, if you get a call out to go and do a job in somewhere where there is children, it's going to be one of the first questions that they ask.
Yeah, no, it's a very good tip. And I'm wondering too, is this? I guess it's relevant to any. Well, it's probably only relevant to your technicians out in the field, right? I mean, the people in the office wouldn't necessarily need it. So maybe that's something you can have a look at for all of your staff as well. Yeah,
most definitely.
Although I know I've certainly worked with a lot of people that I can't imagine passing the test, but probably because they are kids themselves.
Yeah, no, there's no worries about being a big kid yourself. I think they encourage that, actually.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, look, Eve, I want to thank you very much for your time. That pretty much closes off this episode and the series.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me.
No, it was excellent. It was fantastic. I learned a lot, took a lot of notes, and I'm sure the listeners will be loving it as well.
Great.
So how can people get hold of you?
Well, you can go to my website, which is fullybookedtradies.com.au. You can follow me on Facebook, which is Fully Booked Tradies as well. I do lots of videos and trade tips and just things that you can implement into your business in marketing, and just things that are going to make you more money and get you more clients. So I think that's what all businesses need to do.
Yep, fantastic. And look, we'll post some notes, some links, to that in the show notes. So if anyone needs to get hold of you, they will be able to. And look, we absolutely look forward to having you back on the show in the future, and maybe working a little through some other stuff that you've clearly got a good grasp on. Yeah, great. It'll be my pleasure. All right, awesome. Well, let's wrap that here. Listeners, again, if you enjoyed these episodes, please go ahead and, as we've just been talking about, leave us some comments in the show notes, or better still, head across to iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud, where you can leave us a review. And the reason we ask for reviews is not because we're being painful, it's because it actually helps our rankings. So obviously we spend a lot of time and resource in creating these episodes, and by leaving a review, you can help us keep doing it. So if you're enjoying it and you want to see them keep happening, then please just take 5 minutes. Anyway, there's links to all that in the show notes as well. All right, that's pretty much a wrap. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for listening to another episode of Toolbox Talks. If you're liking what you hear, then you can head across to the siteshed.com, where you can join our community by signing up to our Toolbox Talks. You'll get sent a weekly notification, which is basically a highlight of everything that we've spoken about during that week, along with any other industry news that may be relevant or specific to the trades. If you're enjoying the show, you can head across to iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud, where you can leave us a review. That would be fantastic, and all the reviews get read out in the show. Likewise, if you have any friends or colleagues that you think would benefit from the show and the episodes that we create, then please go ahead and share it with them.